Okay, now the mirror has dried up enough. It shrank on the back. So I'm going to just trim this one main edge here, which was a little lip that was left on because prior to this, a few minutes ago, it was upside down, and so there was a little lip that I'll trim on the edge. That'll give me a nice curve on the outside diameter, or close to the outside edge of the mirror frame. Then I'll just smooth that out and stain it, and it'll be ready to carve. Also a small little, clean up the little edge here, which was stuck to the bat also. But I'll just trim a little bit of the material off here. I could do this on either my electric wheel or here on the locker bee. Today I have it on the locker bee, because that's where I'll carve it at. Maybe I should put it back on the electric wheel, because that way I don't have, I'm not used to. Yeah, I like the electric wheel a little down. I have to kick it for the rotation. Okay, it's starting to blend in here a little bit. Now I'm just going to finish smoothing this out where I trim that little edge off at, so I make a nice smooth curve, getting the carve marks out of it, because I'll be putting the stain on afterwards. And I want it to go on nice and smooth, like this body in the middle here. It's nice and smooth. So I'll just be cleaning that up. Not the hardest part of the carving, like not the hardest part, like the carving. The carving is the most challenging. Throwing a little bit of a hassle. The carving takes a little more detail, because I like repetitive patterns that are similar. I just let this slowly dry out while it's shrinking, and it pops loose in the bat. Moisten it a little bit, not too much, because I don't want to crack the clay with too much moisture. It has a much higher percentage of moisture in one spot than it does in other. It causes a crack or a break. But it looks like it's getting there. Just have to again smooth it out for the stain. It'd be nice to be able to throw these like this in this position, but I'm not sure of a way to put a lip on the bottom of on the back side of the mirror. So I'll go ahead and throw them and then flip them over when they're leather hard and clean up this little edge. Smooth it out to a nice curve as it heads on down to the surface of the bat. Looks like I'm getting there. Just a little tiny, just a little bit more moisture on the surface will help. It's not the most exciting part to watch, but it's nice and important to have a nice clean edge on it. Again, my favorite part is the carving. Throwing is pretty cool too. And that can be a challenge. Okay, now I'm going to start to stain this surface, which is important part. Not the hardest part, but it's an important part. I've got the stain that I mix, which will go on looking like red oxide fluid. It's not a glaze, it's just a stain. And you can buy it, but I mix it myself. It's pretty basic ingredients. Just start off with a few basic and I'll have to go around it a few times here, because it's not too exciting, but it's an important part. It's like paint on a car. Gotta have a nice paint job. This will be the surface that will provide me the contrast between the stain and the clay when it's carved, relief carved. Make sure there's no light streak in it that shows up when it's fired. So a little bit overdo it, I guess. Making sure there's enough stain. Keep looking and thinking, oh, there's probably a dim spot in there, not enough stain, but after a while it's hard to tell. Just making sure. When I pull it out the kiln, there's not a streak in there. But it's looking pretty good here. Now I'm going to add a few concentric guidelines, and they're part of the pattern. And there's one of them on there already. I'm going to put two there. Just try to steady my arms so they don't overlap. There we go, there's two there. Now about here, put another line This will be the so there's that. Then there's one on the outside edge here. Now I have some guidelines on there for the concentric rings as guidelines. Okay, now I'm starting to put in some guidelines, which will be part of the pattern, but they're also guidelines. The bat that this is sitting on has some lines, as you can see, in the middle that go all the way to the outside edge that break it up into sections, so I could either choose to use all of them or 3 of them or whichever pattern I want as far as the number of sections in the pattern. Just try to make these patterns repetitive all the way around. So if I make one that's really too crooked, then I have to kind of go back and make all of them look a little crooked to be part of a pattern, because you can't, there. Now it's broken down into sections on the outside, and there'll be more features in the middle of each one of these little blocks on the outside. But the big part's coming here in the middle and having these little, you could call it like a big flower blossom in the middle or something like that, which will show up as a repetitive pattern going all the way around. Okay. Now, take the pattern another step forward. Let's see here. So, I'm start coming off here. Again, the clay is just the right moisture level. Makes it easy to carve and leave a nice clean edge on it. It's not too wet, don't have to worry about pushing. If it's too moist, it's easy to go too deep with the line, or it'll leave a little rough edge on it if it's more likely to leave a rough edge when it's too moist. Sweep this off here, get the rough pieces on there so they don't scratch anything or somehow get in the way. Now I've got to do the work on these here, and what I'll do is I'll probably just intersect. They'll be kind of like tangent to one another. Yeah, I make these tools, I use brushes for the handle or an old Kemper tool handle, and I use music wire to make the little looped end or square ends on them. And I like this one here for this type of nice solid cut line. It's going to look a whole lot different in a few minutes. You see where it's starting to take a little bit of a curve, or a little bit of a look to it with the curves on the end. Yeah, just a little tedious, but I'm sure there's other works out there that many other people do with pottery, and ceramics is even more tedious. So it looks like I've got most of these carved off, rounded off on the ends. So now I'll have to remove some clay. That goes by pretty fast, but it makes a big difference in the way it appears when these little odd shapes are cleared out. Or relief cut, whatever you want to refer it to. That'll make it look a lot different. So now I'm going to remove some extra material here that just outlines that little part of the pattern. Just to make a double check here, I'm all carved. Okay, looks good. So then I'm just going to start to come back like that. Leave a little bit of the where I relief carve it. Sometimes you see a little bit of the stain, like a streak. I leave that on there so people can tell it was hand carved and not just popped out of a mold with a smooth pattern. You can see the tool marks on there. I like that. Maybe not everybody does, but I like that. Sometimes people like things that look like they're handmade. Wood. Other materials, you see some of the tool marks on there. Gives it some character. I'm glad I can do this kind of work and have the patience for it. Many people can do it, but I'm able to have the time and the equipment and stuff to do it. There, now you have a part of this area that's relief carved. It's going to look like that all the way around, and I've always liked that myself, but when it's fired, the clay will be darker brown and the stain will turn black. Kind of a semi-gloss black. And there'll just be a few touches of the stain here and there on there you can see when it's fired. That's why I like to leave it on there a little bit. Not too much, just enough to let somebody know it's carved. That way if they have it hanging, if they like handmade stuff, you can tell it was carved by hand. Well, even if it was molded, at least it was made to look like it was carved by hand, but these are carved. But it is tedious, just taking a little bit out at a time like this. I feel like I'm digging a tunnel with a spoon. This is the right consistency for the clay, moisture level. It's not too soft, not too hard. It just pulls it off and leaves me a nice clean edge. Doesn't let me I just apply the same pressure with each cut. Now I'm just doing some finishing marks on the outside band. There's a pattern that goes around the outside band. And you can make it as detailed as you want, of course, but sometimes I have to decide if I want to spend that much more time on it, but these are not, I don't make these, I make them because I enjoy them, but I don't necessarily want to spend, if it doesn't add that much to it, I don't want to spend 3 hours carving some little intricate detail. It doesn't make it all that, that much more different. I could add more patterns and more lines in here, but I don't want to make it too busy, but it'll look a lot different when it's fired. It'll shrink a little bit, of course. Like I say, I have this band on the circle out here, or the disc, or the bat, whatever you want to call it. And that tells me the maximum size I can put in the current kiln I have. So if I wanted to get any larger, I'd have to get a larger kiln, but it's shrunk down a little bit already, I can tell by looking at it. So anyway, that's kind of what these are the steps I have to go through to make or carve a mirror frame. The other video shows how I made the mirror, but this one basically shows through the steps. It goes through the steps of showing how to carve, set it up and carve. The staining, the cleaning up, staining, and then carving. And I enjoy making them, so that's I'll probably make quite a few more. Thank you.